quickly, which I think is their expectation, which should be the expectation, although we know Gen.G is far more versatile than that. Should this be a problem for Gen.G, they can easily swap.
And then I was gonna say Stalker's in now, so that's an option that they're going for. Glister and Stalker overlap on the heroes, Zarya, Sombra, you name it. It's a common substitution they do. Now Gen.G out the gates. You know, turret to protect the base, maybe the wrong game. As there we go, Ryan 3-2-1 out the gates with the Ana to make sure the Ana can protect herself against the Somber Mirror on the other side from Ace.
And Ace is looking to build those EMPs just as quickly as he did back on Nepal. They actually catch him with the sleep dart. That should be an insta-pick, and indeed it is. 6v5 advantage now in favor of Gen.G, and they're going to go quickly onto the point to try to take advantage of that one.
Oh, no. That's tough. Gen.G coming in. WG's gonna try. Oh, no. WG's gonna try and break down the shield, but they're just trying to run away now with the lives that they have left. Without a shield, WGs have nothing to cover themselves. Gen.G will get that first tick. And WGS, I mean, couldn't even get set up. There's nothing more to say.
Well, now Givenchy is the last bastion of defense for them. Not going to work out, though. Now it's just Gen.G clearing the floor. And eventually we will see Gen.G likely capping this one out. Still have to deal with Valentine and Overwatch in the skies, though. If they can pull that task off, they might be able to close this out.
Yeah, good reaction from Wuyel. He's actually been keeping Valentine at bay. Not only just chasing after him with the boosters, but then matrixing most of that pretty lethal barrage. It's a 1-to-1 trade. Gen.G, it's been taking quite some time. We called this fight kind of ages ago, but they were chasing after kills, making sure WGS didn't have their full 6 going in for recontest. And Gen.G, within the first fight, maybe an extended one, get the job done.
Yeah, that was effectively a dead fight as soon as Ace died. And then we saw Gen.G storm in, and WGS couldn't get that instant momentum shift in their favor. So Gen.G now going forward with the 3-3. We see creative, of course, on that Ana, and that's going to be important to take note of, because as WGS are making some swaps of their own, now they have that 3-2-1 approach, still have to be able to deal with the Ana, still have to be able to deal with the nano boost, with the biotic grenade as well, and Ace having the EMP here, they're looking to open up this fight, drop those shields, but he's detected, I believe.
Oh. No one saw him. No one's seen me. Pretty invisible, only for now. EMP. Gen.G able to get that nano out first, where Oberon just keeps the front line intact, swinging away, going for kills, where WGS thought they had that fight in the bag with the EMP, best ultimate in the game. But Oberon, he's a factor for Gen.G.
And Gen.G are just going to be able to kind of electric slide their way right on through. WGS, I mean, there's just no way that they're going to be able to battle off Gen.G, who have had time after that prolonged 2-minute engagement on point A to build ultimates, to build momentum, and now be able to push this payload on through. And WGS, I don't think they have an answer.
Looks like a celebration shatter that came out from Oberon earlier, but also WGS couldn't contest. That's point B already earned. Now everything here, they're getting run over more and more, and Gen.G can get even more ultimates out of this. Oberon about to get another shatter from the one he wasted just saying hello to the door. But Gen.G locked that one in. You have so much time to get point C.
And this is why setting the tone early is so important. I mean, we see it all the time on control maps, but it's just as pertinent here in this map type as well, because what you're getting now is WGS faltering. Gen.G still haven't really had to be utilizing any of their ultimates. They haven't been forced to expend any of their resources, and as WGS, certainly, yes, they are now in a phase where they can actually fight off Gen.G. Gen.G are just as strong as they have ever been in any of these approaches. They have all of their weapons available.
Walking into bullets not recommended, but Ace gets back to safety. But meanwhile, the grab goes down from Stalker, and equally from Gabe Bull. She kind of neutralizes the fight for both, but Oberon got the nano. Would have liked to be more aggressive with that. As Gen.G hold on, they got the shatter, playing this one slow, and they have so much time to work towards this, but Ace gets ready with the EMP, and his target's gonna be Bliss at the very least, and he's staying hidden, as you can see in the bottom right.
There's the EMP coming out from Ace, but instantly the counter comes out from Gen.G. Bliss answering with the sound barrier.
Yeah, that keeps them up. No kills really following through from that. WGS have closer spawns. They're using the barrier to now engage. As Oberon can get a free shatter, there's almost no one standing in his way. But playing around his team, especially the Brie goes for quick rotation left and slams in Bullshit against a wall. WGS now have to stop the bleeding, but Soccer won't let them. The grab trapping them. There's a VIP parking lot with 3 minutes and 4 on the clock.
Gen.G only basically kind of forced to hesitate for a moment, never truly stopped in their grand approach to that VIP parking space that they eventually landed that car into. But still, I mean, 2 minutes taken away at the very beginning, but that was just basically gifted momentum over to Gen.G that they took all the way through until this final fight in the map where finally WGS tried as hard as they could at the very least to be able to get something going. But even still, as you saw in those replays there, they just were not able to come out ahead, and Gen.G just pushed it right on through without a problem in sight.
The key play was Blizz getting barrier off for WGS EMP. I mean, kind of you walk into this fight where both teams pretty much had 6 ultimates each. WGS used theirs first. Gen.G barely died, if not at all. Then they had 6 ults to throw at WGS. So respawn advantage or not, WGS crumbled. And it seemed to be kind of the trend for this whole map where WGS barely held the defense at all. Hence why you have such an amazing time bank of 3 minutes for Gen.G.
Yeah, 304. Gonna be hard to beat for WGS. Looks like it's possible that they actually do go for a DPS-centric approach that we've seen from them even back on Paris. It does seem like that's something that they do enjoy pulling out. Meanwhile, Gen.G here actually engaging a triple DPS solo tank of their own, kind of putting Oberon back onto an island by himself where Wuyal is actually picking up the Sombra. We do see quite a bit of 2-2-2 from Gen.G, at least so far in this series. This time not the case though. And we will see them try to hold out against this double sniper from WGS that they're pulling out yet again. They struggled back on Paris to find an opening. Actually caught the Sombra out early. Not going to get the same value as what we saw against Ace prior.
Yeah, Ace made the biggest oof because of that. At least someone learned the lesson so far, but WGS, they also have to funnel in. I mean, the objective is going to be to get on the high ground, at least the snipers up there so they can get better angles. And Wicked has to play so differently now because of this composition. Out of line of sight, you see he's over to the right. He's going to be playing around the roof. Stay away from these snipers where WGS climbing up to the high ground, at least some of them, and the shield is set up now on the point. Halt and hook misses.
Well, Oberon, he's got no help here, so especially as he's losing his DPS members, it's going to be scary to drive in onto that payload and try to control the point for your team.
Well, still, it's a really good approach from WGS, that they had the right angles. You know, they got on the high ground, they set the shield forward, and they got the picks, forcing Wiki to now not only get off of the brig, the whole composition is different from Gen.G. Now you have the Winston 3-3.
Gen.G making this swap early, and they don't want to give over any kind of momentum to WGS in the same way that WGS did to Gen.G earlier. So WGS, that forces them to swap actually themselves as well. And now Gen.G, given the fact that they do still have this Mercy as well as the Winston, they really need to win. Okay, I guess I was going to say they were going to really need to win this first fight. Otherwise, they get behind in the ultimate charge, but it looks like they actually are committing to it. Oberon actually engaging this high ground. They need to be able to drop down and play this high ground effectively, though, and at best, leave their Zarya up there if they can.
Yeah, and dropping that bubble into the backline, cutting off some of the resources into the front. Biotic hits Ace, which gets that first pick for Gen.G, falling up into the rest, but Oberon also doesn't want to tangle too close to where Reinhardt, using his mobility to disengage into a safe spot. Work up towards that primal, towards 70% plus, gets the nano so he can stay sustained on the point, goes even further. Reinhardt or not, now he's got primal within that first fight, and now he can disrupt the formation of WGS even more.
And Oberon just soaking up damage in that primal as well. That's going to give Creative another 25-30% of his ult charge into that next nano boost. That's going to be important for them to kind of bounce off of each other in that way, because otherwise they don't have a real win condition to play off of outside of the Graviton. So they're looking to build that as well.
Self-destruct, I think at the back there from Wheel, still catches two. So Gen.G, so much, or at least WGS had momentum, or Gen.G had momentum. Now I figure myself out. With the Primal from Oberon, the Nano, they got ultimates so quick and finally shut it down.
Another thing too here is that with Gen.G having this high ground control, they're actually going to have so much value out of not only Stalker, but also they got a lot out of Creative as well. And you see him swapping over to the Zenyatta now actually to match WGS. But before we saw the biotic grenades coming down, and that was profound for Gen.G. Really pivotal plays to be able to come out with those biotic grenades.
So many ultimates from WGS, and you just can't lose control of the payload at this point. It's such a far walk. They have the tools. Again, keeping those against Stalker's grab, surviving this will be huge for WGS. As Gen.G look to set it up, Stalker's playing very far forward to set it up, now playing LOS, making sure that Gabolshi can't eat it. There's a Transcendence to counter that grab. Self-destruct from Gabolshi also to make sure Gen.G can't follow up as much, forcing up that shield from Oberon, and then running over Enocast after, and Stalker keeping all that energy can follow up into WGS, who have now lost control at a pretty critical point of the map.
They're actually going to run down the Zarya here as well, so that's going to be nullifying all of the energy that Ace... Oh, they're going to counter though, and they're getting that initial pick onto Bliss.
This is the definition of punish. Gen.G playing way too far forward, thinking they could just farm ult charge when, or maybe it's the best bait I've ever seen. Now WGS right onto the cart. They've even staggered weak keyed. And even if Gen.G get back quick, they won't have their full 6.
Not only that, but it was a really clever positioning of that Graviton as well, where Creative, I mean, they actually split Creative off of the rest of his team so that they could still get kills despite the Transcendence being invested. So now Gen.G effectively off of just a really big mistake on their part, to be perfectly candid with you guys. I mean, big mistake. Yeah. And WGS capitalized in a big way, secure that second point, and now have tons of time for this final phase of the map, and now have Ace at 60%, equalizing with Stalker yet again.
Gonna be in a time bank disadvantage, and depending on these next fights go, it's still gonna be a tough road for WGS, and Gen.G again being so aggressive, going far forward with Oberon, who keeps the shield up so the team can farm their ultimates. As now WGS take a step back, but now they've re-engaged with Ace's grab. Gen.G use the barrier, they hold on to Creative's Transcendence, but still so back and forth between two, and now WGS without a Reinhardt try and stabilize and get zone control back with the self-destruct. But Gen.G now, they have the member advantage. They still have a Reinhardt here, but WGS will be ready to fight pretty quickly, having those close spawns.
Gen.G have the Graviton. They're just looking to try to make sure that everybody is stabilized before they go for this play. WGS, you can see Noah, he's only at 72% towards the Transcendence, so he's not going to be able to answer the grab should Gen.G drop this very soon here. You can see Gen.G getting into position, allowing WGS to come forward a bit, but they need more than just Enocast coming forward. They need to catch more of that back line, but the Transcendence is now online for Noah.
But Gen.G controlling their aggression here. Exactly, you don't want to play far. This is a better spot for them, but WGS found a spot towards the left, exposing the supports of Gen.G, or sorry, from WGS, and losing that immediately. WGS just get out of dodge. So
now Gen.G hold on to all of their options, not having to invest anything to be able to get that in a neutral fight. WGS now coming off of respawn. They've got a minute 20. Maybe this could turn out to be 2 pushes. It's almost likely that it'll be one solid effort and then a really desperate attempt to get back to the point and try to get a momentum shift. As they're now approaching the payload, looking to try to set up. Gen.G again have that Graviton at their disposal. Could wait out Noah's Transcendence and then go for the full punch after.
At least Glister was really good at baiting out those support ultimates back on Nepal. The Stalker, as the new Zarya player subbing in, we'll see how he can stabilize his team. If Gen.G throws out the grab, WGS, oh, Noah's Transcendence just in time. And the shatter from Oberon gets everyone on the floor as we all self-destruct, regains the space Gen.G temporarily lost, and Oberon, as the aggressive main tank he is, of course, he's charging right in. But Gen.G have been punished for this before, so Gen.G, even without a Reinhardt, still following up on this.
Gotta have more than support ults here. It might be able to be enough to allow Stalker to stay alive and get a return grab for Gen.G, but otherwise WGS have so much online for them that they actually could get the job done here. They have to get into position though, and as they're approaching, they need to throw out that grab and get the cleave early, see if they can get a pick before the support ults come through.
It's an overtime time bank disadvantage, but WGS still have a dream and a hope. There's the grab, transcendence by Creative. Oberon is just barely alive, gets healed up, and WGS now investing everything. The barrier to engage, the self-destruct kills Stalker, who is so close to grab. Gen.G taking the fight back in their hands with this barrier. Oberon gets stunned and he's instantly bursted down, couldn't get the shatter out in time. And Adok has now so much more freedom on the Reinhardt. Can just melee away, hammer away, and Gen.G can't contest. In overtime, WGS get the job done.
Unfortunately for them, they don't have any time left in the time bank at all, and Gen.G finishing with over 3 minutes. Now it's just up to them. I mean, best case scenario for WGS right now is they get a draw, and there's no way. I mean, that secures the series right there for Gen.G. So Gen.G gonna be able to go 5-0 for sure now, because even again, if worst case scenario they get the draw, that's a 2-1 at absolute worst for them. So Gen.G now on their attack, all they need to be able to win this map here is 33% on point A, and that is it.
And also saying that WGS still have a lot of room to grow. It's kind of crazy because you said this before, like a lot of other regions are kind of getting into playoffs, and we're kind of still at a mid-season-ish point for Korea. Yeah. So
Week 5.
Still have a few more weeks to go to, I guess, more at this point. I think it might be mathematically impossible for them to get into playoffs now. But now at this point, it's individually performing well, and to at least get a win entirely this season, because they're not only are they winless, but only 3 maps. This, at least they can try and start a comeback here to at least, you know, draw at best, and maybe map 4, they can catch Gen.G off guard.
I think it's technically possible, but very unlikely, because I do believe that Fusion University still has a game versus Meta Athena. So one of those teams has to win. So I think it is going to be one of those really tough things where it's like maybe they've got a shot, but we're talking about 1 in a million. But either way, yeah, Gen.G coming out of the gates here again, all they need is 33%, and they're gonna go with the traditional 3-3 approach, taking on WGS, who are on defense here and doing just the same with that high ground.
Looking forward to the totes though.
The totes.
Totes sounds cool. But Gen.G, the natural 3-3, rotating towards security, towards the right. Again, keeping up your shield, and how WGS, they get to come, well, they were on the high ground. They got to choose when they wanted to engage, and Gen.G got them down without trying too hard. Now Gen.G are going up there, and now they get to choose when they want to engage.
Gen.G taking this high ground is going to be so important here too, because WGS now, they still have that drop approach, but you could actually kind of catch Inakash off as he's going to get separated from the rest of his team. They're allowing them to rotate over, but just kind of trading high grounds at the moment.
Oh, it's a lot of trades and building up towards that energy where WGS just want to drain the clock at this point. It's only the 33%. Any mistake could cost them so dearly. Is Gen.G sending Booyal up, who gets whooped away, almost demeched. Oh, and finally does. The follow-up was there. WGS, again, not playing aggressive, just getting their ultimates, and just not risking any neutral fight disaster.
125 remaining. That's already over half the time bank that Gen.G started with. And you can see WGS, they haven't really been forced into anything. You see them having everything stocked up, compiled and ready to go, as Gen.G now are running in, trying to stay alive.
There's the ace grab, a transcendence just in time by Creative, and now it's Gen.G who has a fight in their hands. They have grab, they have shatter. Okay, that got blocked. Plan B is the grab, but Noah, he's the one to stop this and keep this fight alive for WGS. There's the grab, transcendence from Noah, and Okas with a counter shatter. Gen.G starting to lose control, and they had to use the barrier just to keep engaging. And it's coming down to the wire. 40 seconds remain. Gen.G playing so aggressive, finally running them over. Oberon in their backline. And WGS trying to wake up from this nightmare. A few more people remain. Maybe they could buy time, but at this point, Gen.G are unstoppable. The energy, the momentum. Another grab and shatter about to be online, and there's Gen.G taking the 3-0.
looked as though that could have been drawn out. Again, it really, in the grand scheme of things, wouldn't have meant too much. At least for WGS, it might have meant, you know, that they don't have that -1 factor into their map differential, where again, they really need everything that they could possibly get their hands on at this stage, especially after Meta Athena did win out a map earlier, or rather a round, a full series earlier against Element Mystic. So that's Gen.G 3-0, already taking the series win against WGS, and we've got one more map in store still.
I still think there's moments of moments of greatness from WGS, of being able to punish the overaggression of Gen.G, which has been their issue maybe this season, where usually rewards them, and in some cases we saw in Hollywood where Gen.G got punished, mainly Oberon, but he's also a big source of their success. But we still have one map to go. It is 3-0, but WGS looking for another map win. We'll see you guys after this break. So dawn of the final day, or maybe the final map for WGS, staring into the sunset of maybe another loss. Well, it is a clear loss, but hopefully a map win. Smile as we go into Escort.
Yeah, so we've seen WGS, they've had a lot of different showings. We've seen them take a map off of Runaway. We saw them take Paris specifically off of Runaway, but, you know, I think so far we've seen them kind of, I think, you know, their best showing has definitely been against Fusion Uni. We saw them go against them in map 5. We've already talked a little bit about the curse of Fusion Uni and the map 5 and how they're just addicted to just going to map 5 no matter how it ends. It doesn't matter. They just want to get there. They want to play as much control as they possibly can. But WGS, since then, they have still struggled. You know, we saw them against OT Blast. We saw them take on the 3-3. Now they take on Gen.G in the 3-3. It was a decent look for them defensively. We saw them do just the same against OT Blast on Dorado, where they did take them on with the 3-3, but just not enough. You don't give them, they don't give themselves enough of a buffer early on, and they struggle early on as well, where we see them faltering on some of their attacks and don't have a good enough of a win condition set for them to be able to come out with those map wins.
And I think as WGS, they still have some room to grow. They have a few more weeks to adapt. They've been really good, or at least starting to be good, at punishing Gen.G's over-aggression. We saw Oberon when he went too deep. He would be the first to die. And, I mean, Gen.G followed them all the way back into spawn on Hollywood, and that's how WGS were able to retake B. So maybe WGS, I'd like to see more Brig presence from them, because a lot of times they were able to win a fight is because they got that break stun onto Oberon and then the burst follow-up from that. So they can't be scared of the Mans. They gotta fight back. Rialto will be the map they can maybe try to have a good start with.
Map diff is key right now. If you are World WGS, I was going to say the whole name, World Game Star.
Yeah.
But if you are WGS, that is key for you. I mean, you only had 3 map wins coming in. You had 14 map losses. We'll tack on 3 more now that you've faced Gen.G to this point. So at 3-17, you know, -14, not a great map diff to play with, especially given Meta Athena was able to win out versus Element Mystic in a game 5. That was your best shot at being able to surpass at least one team and then work your way and hope that maybe Fusion University continues to falter in their matchups, especially as they have some hard ones coming up, at least in GC Busan Waves. So unfortunate for WGS, but they're not out of it just yet.
Not out of the woods. And we can only have one upset per day, guys. I think everyone's already mind blown. Maybe they're just waking up and you just like wake up from your coma and Element Mystic lost to Meta Athena. Which, hey, trying to give some credit to Meta Athena, but that's still maybe some news a lot of people are waking up to. But not going to be another upset this time around, but taking a map win against the second place team of Gen.G, one of the Titans of Korea. Maybe. Oh, I guess, yeah, that too. But wherever they are, they're going to get in the semifinals, it seems, so far. But taking a map here would be big.
Absolutely. And beyond that as well, WGS, they just need anything to make sure that they're not completely out of it. I mean, when you're sitting at 0-5, -14, perhaps even -15, your chances are all but thwarted. But nonetheless, we do see Gen.G bring in some new names. Glister's back. Dance even brought in, and this is a player that just basically, depending on where you're looking, Dance is either on the roster or he's not on the roster. Seems like he is on the roster as he's playing here. Haven't seen him in a while, but he's back already with almost 60% charge towards his nano boost as it is.
And I want to say this guy has great facial hair because I remember his name specifically because of that, and also because he's a good player. So Gen.G, I know, I noticed great things. But Gen.G on the high ground, good position for Glister to be in, sporting the Hanzo. So again, with running what Gen.G are running with the Roadhog, with the Hanzo in the far, a lot of shield break from their side where WGS might be sacrificing a bit of that running the Widowmaker instead of the Pharah.
That's LemonKiwi, always noticing the important things, like facial hair. But at least in this match, we can say Ace here, he's got the EMP coming up, but Gen.G, who are just kind of waltzing their way on through, they're going to rely on that. But Ace forced to back out of the fight as he almost got killed off.
Now contesting this one last time, EMP for Ace. He's been quick with these, catching the support line and also Oberon. So no shield for them for the second, but WGS supports, even despite having this EMP, just all fell to Gen.G immediately.
Oh, Gen.G, they put in Dance, and doesn't seem like anything's really skipped a beat at all. I mean, they're just continuing this approach of just walking right over WGS, and yeah, I think he just tossed that one out. Yeah, he tossed it out and swapped, so he was just throwing that one out. Sending a gift to the gods, hoping that 2 dragons is enough of a sacrifice to get them a fight victory, at least in this map, hopefully.
Maybe, but Weekend with the barrage right above WGS just hovering. And they will have Noah to maybe try and sleep this, but now without a diva, they can't go and fly up against this. Weekend is just ready. Tell me when to go and I'll do it. But Gen.G just trying to win the shield war at the moment. There's the dragon to clear WGS from that high ground. And maybe that nano Reinhardt will be what they're working towards as the nano's given. And who knows where it is. Good night. It's given to Oberon, actually. As Gen.G, even despite the nano, could not survive that engagement.
WGS looking to try to sustain. Not going to be able to do that versus the whole hog. Forced to disengage. And I say forced to disengage, I mean literally sent packing, literally sent back by the whole hog as Gen.G continuing the assault, let loose the barrage and still pushing that payload forward.
And Gen.G meters away, cleaning this one up. But WGS at least extended that fight. Now they have the tools that they've been working towards. EMP, NOCAS Shatter. You know, hint, hint, EMP Shatter. It's gonna look good.
Gen.G making those swaps. They know that that composition that they're rocking into that final phase of the map, it might not do the trick, especially once WGS starts firing away these ultimates that they finally have now built up. And you know that you need time to build into some of your own. If you want a good time bank, you got to make those swaps early, and they do exactly that. So mirroring out against WGS, EMP still at the ready for Ace. He gets stunned.
That's what you had to do. You have to stun Oberon, and they did it. They did it. They killed Oberon, and that's the raid boss. That's it.
they did it.
They did
so
it.
Gen.G forced back,
Listen.
and not only that, but given the high ground control that WGS has right here, you're still seeing them gaining some ult charge as Gen.G pull back and not able to do much of the same themselves. So Oberon coming forward. We'll have to see if WGS can do it yet again.
Oh, and there's an EMP into their back line. Couldn't set up the shatter, but still the follow from WGS is there. I mean, Gen.G tried to go to this high ground, funnel into a small room where maybe they thought that space, or that very little space, could deny the EMP, but Gen.G reset.
Still 3.5 minutes remaining for Gen.G, and this is certainly a point in which WGS can shave off a fair bit of that, but as Gen.G are going to be able to get their EMP online themselves and start matching WGS, equalize this economy out a little bit, you'll start seeing them come out ahead in a lot of these team fights.
Oberon is coming in, but he's got Nano. The grab just slows everything down, so even if WGS don't get kills, well, but you don't want to lose your Reinhardt. They slow down Gen.G, but not for long. Glister's going ham. He has EMP, and Gen.G can move forward. They didn't even have to use anything, and now they can work towards grab, EMP, and so much to lock this spawn down.
And grab EMP are going to be hard to deal with because once you do grab, you need the defensive ult. That's going to come from Oparochi, but he doesn't want to invest that because he knows the EMP is coming and he has to stay safe, so.
Oh god, Oberon's in your bedroom with a shatter. At least they got blocked temporarily. The EMP followed up from Gen.G. They still have to push this payload a few more meters as WGS gonna be coming back with their own things. There's a shatter, NOCAS matching that aggression. Sticking on the payload. Gen.G used everything they had, and they actually haven't clearly won this yet. NOCAS went for a shatter, and Oberon's missing. Now this is going to be hard for Gen.G without a shield. As WGS still not in firm control of this fight, but the respawns are much closer for them. They can stabilize a lot quicker. And there's an EMP from the defense. Gen.G just trying to hold on, but they have the time to reset, but they don't want to give it up.
Sound barrier almost online for Bliss, but Gen.G, they lost Glister, so they have to back off, at least for now. They could wait for Glister to get a little bit closer and go for the quick engage against WGS, who effectively have nothing. And Gen.G should know this based off the ult tracking that they've done. They should be comfortable enough on this composition that they know exactly what's available for WGS, which is only going to be Gabe Olshi's Graviton pretty shortly, and that's it.
Oh no, you can't have your supports die. That would be really bad. But Gen.G start the barrier to see if they can kind of equalize the numbers here. Is EMP also used from Glister? Kill feeds all in white for Gen.G. Taking that payload home. Maybe with a smaller time bank than they could have had otherwise.
Still kind of rocked it through those first 2 points. Had really no issues. So despite all that, 1 minute 23 seconds. Again, a lot shaved off at the very end, forced by a compositional change that again was forced. So you just basically have to give that time bank away. But nonetheless, Gen.G get the job done. You can see how it was done, saving all of those ultimates to the very bitter end. EMP, grab, yep. Why?
I mean, that was the defensive team playing almost in the offensive closet there. So that was a mistake that Gen.G recognized and took advantage of.
Punishing overextension, the name of the game with that 3-2-1 or any version, variant or otherwise of GOATs or the 3-3, whatever you want to call it. So Gen.G now on the defense, and WGS trying to match that time bank, and you would expect to see WGS come out with I mean, I would expect them to come out with triple DPS at least for that first point, but even if they do, they then have to make that same similar transition that we saw from Gen.G, where if Gen.G swaps early and they start building into some ultimates, WGS could actually hit a brick wall, and then you need that time to build. So if things don't go fluidly for them early on, you have to question whether or not they're going to make it all the way through.
And now an even weaker frontline with only the solo main tank. With the Mei approach they could have had, you know, the halt hook with the Mei, we saw how successful that was in the previous series, but not in Gen.G's strategy book. Focusing more on the picks from Glister, we keep playing around the roofs out of line of sight, and we all farming that EMP as WGS already have Gay Bullshit was hacked early. We all not getting too much charge from that.
So WGS back on the double sniper ace, looking for an off angle, but now we'll be met by Glister this time around. So our first sniper duel, I think, of the entire day, if I'm not mistaken, that we could have here in the final map.
Oh boy, that first sniper duel going for Glister and Gen.G, because they have such kind of that weaker front line. You see, they couldn't hold that corner as close as they would have liked. And Oberon, at least he has a fortify to try and dodge these halt hooks, but has to be so careful. Kind of by himself. There's no damage mitigation to help him. He has to rely on his team to get the job done for him, and at least Glister is carrying his weight in that regard.
So being able to stifle this first approach, WGS, oh, Ace once again finding Glister. I believe that's just the second time that they've been able to do that. And again, this solo support in play from WGS, it's just going to take time for them to stabilize between fights, but as they do, they still pack a really heavy punch, and Oberon on the receiving end of that one.
Well, WGS have so much shield break. All they have to do is shoot Oberon's shield a little bit and take that space, playing a little bit passive here. So Oberon's kind of by himself, dance in the back. WGS start that Valkyrie. Not getting too much ult charge, focusing on that shield break. There's a halt hook, and that's bad. Gen.G don't have any shield, but there's the EMP from Gen.G, met with the barrage from Wiki as Gen.G kind of equalize those numbers with Glister following up in the back. Now, although WGS had that first pick, now things fall apart.
Oh, and Valentine actually pushed off. They've lost all control of the flanks and all control of the team fight as well. So Gen.G fighting their way back in and now have control of the point yet again here. 145 remaining here, Lemon, and that's it for WGS. I mentioned before, if they're not able to get something going very soon and maintain fluidity throughout, that they're going to struggle to close out the map. Well, they might not even get to that point.
Emphasizing that Oberon against 3 tanks should not be this safe. And it's clearly that the DPS from Gen.G are doing a good job of making it hard for WGS to engage, but Enocast's already low. He's like 1 HP, healed up, and that's the struggle of only running 1 heal, and the Dragon kind of cuts off Gen.G temporarily. WGS moving on forward, looking to rely on another Valkyrie and a whole hog from Noah coming up. Supercharger, big damage advantage for WGS, as Gen.G at least have made this a very long pointy approach so far.
Looks like they might be able to sneak that point out without solidifying the fight win, but as we do see Oberon go down, that forces the rest of Gen.G to go forward, and that's when we do see Noah pop off. Yeah. Well, WGS, they secure that objective and now move into the second phase where they're going to be making those swaps that we talked about earlier, where, again, have to make these early on, otherwise Gen.G can get very much ahead, and you already see Wuyal holding on to the EMP. Nano Boost pretty much available as well, so Gen.G, as they start cycling these ultimates, still have to wonder if WGS is going to hit yet another brick wall.
Well, they hit a brick wall. At least they kind of went around it, maybe trying to build a new one. With the swaps, they had to deal with the volley of ultimates that are going to be coming out of Gen.G. And despite that EMP, only losing your Reinhardt's not the end of the world. But without a shield, that's again a lot less protection that they're going to have. And you don't want to feed more ultimates if it's not a winnable fight. WGS will be able to get that Reinhardt back quick. But how do you get Gen.G off this high ground?
Now losing the Reinhardt, that's a tip of the spear gone, and looks like they're going to try to go up the stairs and force this. But again, these long rotations, you're just allowing Glister to pump out damage. Around the side of the shield, Oberon getting just the same value with the Fire Strike. So now holding out this staircase.
And trying to break out, the self-destruct appears through. And
we still got one!
What? I don't even think he wanted that shatter to be there. Oberon being flashy with the nano. That was incredible. But WGS, I mean, made a solid effort trying to get everyone from that high ground with the self-destruct, but then Oberon's the raid boss that maybe you're just not high enough level to beat at the current moment.
Not intended, but totally fine with it. Oberon's gonna take those and be totally okay with it. But WGS, now with only 1:25, you see Inocast getting hacked so that they can't actually approach across the bridge. And now it's Gen.G actually following Glister close to the grab, and they need him to stay alive.
That was awkward. It was Gen.G maybe wanting to follow up with that hack on an Enocast. Glister dropped, and WGS could have ran them over if they wanted to. Now spotting out that translocate. WGS having maybe a slight heart attack, but maybe trying to ult track properly. That we all shouldn't have EMP quite yet. But what they do have is a graviton to graviton for this next fight, where WGS have gotten Gen.G trying to get them off this high ground. The grab versus grab. There's not a lot of space to tango on the staircase. And WGS also having their diva fall back to the payload to at least get some objective progress. Just grab to grab, nothing much happening, but Noah's down for WGS, less healing, no nano for Enocast. Shield is broken, he charges into his death. And Gen.G hold on to another defense.
Massive biotic there from Dance. Enabled that fight win for them, and now they can just secure more. And in the process as well, also take down WGS's time bank to around 15 seconds before finally WGS is going to have everybody actually up and ready to go. So they're going to be desperate to get there and going for more boops.
No!
Oh, they got the right heart!
Bliss! Damn! And now he's got the berry. He's feeling confident, looking for more boops. Heroes never die, but they sure can't swim either. Oh. Neither can that ball. Does not float. WGS will not be able to touch the cart, and Gen.G taking that clean 4-0, and I'm pretty sure first place.
My boy Hammond dived in, and I give him a 10 for the no splash. I mean, he just went straight to the bottom.
Yeah, they sink, in fact, not full of air. But speaking of that, I mean, bubble clearly bursted. WGS, no upset here, no map win at all. They'll stick with that 3-map win that they have so far. But Gen.G have looked impressive. I mean, Oberon, clearly aggressive. Clearly there's cracks in the armor if you play too aggressive. But still, I stick by my statement that Oberon's still one of the best main tanks in Korea.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with you. I'm one of them. Oberon has just been playing fantastically over the course of the last 2 seasons, not even just this one. We can look at it outside of that isolated magnifying glass of just this one microcosm. But I do think that Oberon has been playing well. This has also been, I feels like we're kind of in the midst of what is effectively a beautiful redemption narrative for Wooyall specifically, but you could even kind of bundle Wikid into that as well, where you're talking about ex-Owl players now looking very much like Owl caliber yet again.
Well, I don't think there's much else to say other than WGS room to grow. There's an evolution, they're in a little EV, and they need maybe a lot of Firestones and a lot of leveling still to do, or they can go up against second place or now first place Gen.G and other teams of that